Thank you. Right now, 647, Senator David Vitter has sent a letter to the head of FEMA asking him to rescind the preliminary flood maps for the National Flood Insurance Program. If that does not happen, it could send flood insurance rates sky high for a lot of people, not just here, but in other parts of the country as well. The measure has bipartisan support in Louisiana, but may have a tougher fight on Capitol Hill. Senator Vitter is joining us with more on that, and this is something that either could have or should have been avoided.
Well, certainly when we debated this version of the flood insurance program, none of the experts at FEMA, private industry, no one predicted the level of rates that they're saying now could occur. So we need to fix this. I think the good news is we've made a lot of progress in the last 2 months in particular fixing it, including Bill Cassidy and House members actually passing measures on an appropriation bill to have a one-year timeout to get this right.
And the problem is this was put in on a bill, and as you mentioned, things were not grandfathered in. So rates that if you built a house to a certain level at a certain time when that was the legal limit, then you should be grandfathered in.
That's right, and those are the folks I'm most concerned about, folks who have lived by the rules, played by the rules every step of the way. They built their house to the right elevation. They did all of those things right, and yet after the fact, because of changes, they could face a whopping rate increase. And so that's what we're working really hard to prevent. The latest thing that happened is FEMA has just released 3 new flood maps for parishes, Orleans, Jefferson, and St. Bernard, after we had meetings on May 9th where they said they weren't going to do that until they got certain things right about how to map South Louisiana, the so-called LAMP process, and how to properly map other flood protection features.
And what were some of the problems you had with the maps in those 3 parishes?
Well, basically, FEMA doesn't yet know how to get it right in terms of mapping all flood control features. If you remember, Eric, 2 years ago, they were saying, we're going to disregard everything except 100-year protection levees. So if you had a smaller levee that still provided some meaningful protection, they would draw a map as if it didn't exist.
And if you're outside the hurricane protection area, even if you're built up high, your rates can go sky high.
Right. So we got them to relent on that policy, but now the challenge is getting them to draw those features right, getting them to properly take into account all of those features. I don't think they're there yet. They haven't fully developed their process to do that, and yet they're still releasing some maps which they promised on May 9th they wouldn't do.
And as we said, this doesn't just affect us. This affects people all around the country. And California, they have more levees than we do.
Absolutely.
The East Coast got hit by Sandy. It seems like there'd be huge support in Congress to get this done.
Well, the good news is there is growing recognition that this is a national problem. This isn't some parochial South Louisiana issue at all. And again, as I said, in the last 2 months, we've made a huge amount of headway to make that point, and we're building a lot of allies. And that House vote, and the House is the more conservative body, so it's significant that the House actually passed this measure. Bill Cassidy leading the way. That House vote is very significant and very positive.
One word, are you optimistic that this will get done?
I am. It's not done till it's done. Going to keep fighting with the rest of our delegation till it's done. But I am optimistic far more than 2 months ago.
All right. That was more than one word, but good. Thank you, Senator David Vitter.
I'm in politics. Sorry.
Of course.